What's up, everybody? You are back in here with the Pro Football Pod. You've got Hulk, you've got Coach. We're hanging out with you guys. Hit that subscribe button down below for us, because once we hit 500 subscribers, and for every 500 subscriber benchmark, we're giving away a free jersey to one of you lucky viewers. We're dying to give these jerseys away to people. Help us help you. Tell your friends, tell your family. We're here to break down the early slate of games for you for week 4. These are all the games being played at 1 o'clock Eastern time for you. Coach, first game we've got on the slate here, I've got the Denver Broncos going into the New York Jets. Is that what you've got on your slate as well?
That is what we've got. And the Jets have a 75.3% win matchup predictor.
I think that should be higher, simply for the factor of we have to remember last offseason the words that Sean Payton said about Nathaniel Hackett, the current Jets offensive coordinator, and what Aaron Rodgers had to say back to him about that.
Yep.
Now, granted, it wasn't face-to-face. It was all through the media. Now, Aaron Rodgers obviously did not get to play in the Broncos game last year.
Agreed.
And that was in Denver. So this year in New York, he gets the Broncos again. I expect Rodgers to try to come out here and throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Agreed. I think that they're going to work the running backs in a lot. I think that Garrett Wilson and Rodgers finally started to get some connection on the Thursday night game this past week. And I think that Lazard and him already have that connection. Mm-hmm. Mike Williams has been this massive disappointment, but for anybody that actually knows ball, no one expected shit from Mike Williams this year. He's old. He's injury prone. He's coming off of an ACL. Just because he has Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback doesn't change any of that. So I think that everything's kind of under the expectation. The one surprise for me was I did not expect the Broncos to show up like they did in week 3. Not at all. So Bo Nix,
I don't think anybody did.
He's like the rushing leader and the passing leader for this team right now. And that's impressive. Absolutely so. Josh Reynolds is also impressing a little bit. I don't think that anybody is really startable on the Broncos because they're playing the Jets and also because it's the Broncos. I want to see more. They're not really a high-powered offense week in, week out.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's one person on the Broncos I feel good about starting, and that goes for Javonte Williams. On the Jets side, we mentioned, if you go back and watch the waiver wire episode, I think Braylon Allen in deep leagues has some flex potential for you. I'd feel decently okay starting Braylon Allen in my flex. Like I said, the Jets, you're going to continue to start Garrett Wilson. You're just hoping the volume goes up a little more. He had to deal with Christian Gonzalez last week shadowing him. I'm thinking this week Patrick Surtain probably does about the same. So if that's going to continue to happen, then Allen Lazard is for sure going to continue to have value. Like I said, I think the Jets win this game by a mile. Who you got next on your slate there for us?
So the Falcons have the Saints heading into Atlanta. And the Falcons looked very good against the Chiefs in the first half of the Sunday night game this past week.
Mm-hmm.
The Saints did not look good against Philly for the first time all season. So we kind of have seen the Falcons on this like upward trajectory, and the Saints just kind of had like a little bit of a bloop. So I'm not expecting the Saints to totally get shit on by the Falcons, but I do think that with this being a divisional game, the Falcons defense is a lot stronger than it's been in the past couple of years. I don't know if Kamara and Olave and Rashid Shaheed are going to be able to just like do whatever they want versus them like they have in the past. Rashid Shaheed got 0 catches this past week, so he's now started to show up as like a little bit of a scary option.
Boomer bust. Yeah, absolutely boomer bust. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Kamara for sure, your guy, Olave for sure, Rashid. I could see maybe a bounce back game for him here, to be honest. Like another, because he went this game with nothing. I could see, going through practice, hey, we got to get him worked in a little bit. Obviously, it kind of affected the game for him as far as big playability. with the game being so slow for them this past week.
Yeah.
On the Falcons side, like you said, they played a really solid game, at least up until the half, is when we're recording this right now. So I like the Falcons. Drake London, yeah, I think where you drafted him at this point, you're still starting him because you're still kind of working things out there. Same for Kyle Pitts and Bijan. Cousins, I still don't know if I'm feeling good about starting him, especially versus the Saints. Like you said, a division game. I don't care that it's in Atlanta. So for me, I think I lean the Saints in this game as well.
See, I think the Falcons have enough to win it. I think they just have enough star power on their offense. And then their defense, like I said, it's improved a lot. The Saints' defense has been what's carried them. I know that the offense is what's been getting all of the attention, but the offense has been getting really short fields. They've been getting turnovers in their favor. They've been getting a lot of really good opportunity. I think that the Saints could potentially struggle like they did against the Eagles. And if that happens, then the Falcons, I don't think, do struggle. I think that Marshawn Lattimore is going to be able to stop either Drake London or Kyle Pitts, but he's not going to be able to stop both. Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod, like a lot of these guys are getting worked in by Kirk. So I do think that their offense is just going to be able to help carry the game.
Okay. What we got? I'm looking at Green Bay, Minnesota. Is that what you got?
Absolutely. And yet again, we have
Another division game here in Green Bay. Is Jordan Love going to be back? Is it going to be Malik Willis again? If Malik Willis is in, yeah, you beat Tennessee. I don't think there's a shot in hell they beat Minnesota.
fuck no. I think that Jordan Love should be back. I think part of why they sat him out against Tennessee was because of Malik Willis and the fact that the game plan was going to be able to have success. Tennessee wasn't anything to worry about. They needed Jordan Love to be 100%, or at least as close to 85% as you can be against Minnesota. I think that Josh Jacobs, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, all these guys are now going to have value again because if Jordan Love's playing, then they do have value. I think as well, Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, Sam Darnold, even maybe Ty Chandler. The Green Bay's been giving up a lot to running backs lately, and they didn't do so much with Tony Pollard, but that's because they were up the whole game. The whole game, like from the beginning.
So, do you start Jordan Love?
If he's healthy, I start him. Unless I have like Jaden Daniels, maybe I don't start. I start him. I start Jaden Daniels over him. There's a couple players like that. But
Minnesota's defense has been looking ripe. Like Brian Flores he's back in his bag here as far as the defense goes. So if Jordan Love was 100% healthy, I think I'd feel okay about starting him. I think I'd try to find a better option at this point right now.
You probably have one with like a Sam Darnold or an Andy Dalton.
Yeah, exactly. And we mentioned that in the waiver wire episode as well. Go back and watch that. So I think Sam Darnold is absolutely startable. I think Aaron Jones is having a very solid season. So if he's your running back too, I think you're still feeling okay about that. Jefferson, obviously, you're no, go ahead and sit Justin Jefferson. Just do it. Yeah. Especially if you're in my league and I'm playing you this week. I need you to sit Justin Jefferson. So all in all, I think the Vikings run away with this game. Even if Jordan Love is healthy, I think the Vikings come into Lambeau and take it.
Moving on to the Philadelphia Eagles going and heading into Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay this past week did not look good, and they didn't look good most of the game. I think that Denver just kind of had their number more than anything else. I don't think that like you necessarily go away from Tampa Bay. I think that Baker Mayfield is still startable. I think that Chris Godwin isn't the number one fantasy wide receiver anymore, but he's definitely still top 10, and he's going to get heavily targeted. Mike Evans has a lot of touchdown potential. At this point, the Philadelphia...
We mentioned Bucky Irving in the waiver wire episode. He's another piece that's coming along.
Yeah, if I have Rashad White, I'm absolutely trying to get Bucky Irving, um, just so that whenever he becomes the starter, then I can just move on, knowing that I spent a fifth or sixth round pick on Rashad White. It's not a big deal, but at this point, I might be starting Bucky Irving over Rashad White. Like he's just so inefficient. If you saw what he did last year and thought, "Wow, I need that guy on my team," then you really don't pay attention to yards per carry and all the metrics that actually matter. Rashad White
Hmm.
was horrible last year.
His only value is in the passing game, and it's because he was getting consistent dump offs
So
in the
much
passing
volume.
game.
So much volume. And he's not going to get the volume anymore. He is an actual legit guy behind him, and he's a better receiver and a better running back than him. So, Bucky Irving for president.
With Philly, what you got to look at as well is with Devontae Smith going out of this last game with a concussion, and you've already got AJ Brown out with the hamstring injury. If both of them are out, I absolutely expect Tampa Bay to win this game at home.
Agreed. I think that Dallas Goddard will be the biggest receiver of value because of those two guys being out. I
Hmm.
want to say that if Devonta Smith doesn't play, that whatever's been ailing AJ
AJ,
Brown,
yeah,
he's playing. Like
yeah. I
like
think it's
whatever
been
it
a
is, he'll play
hamstring.
through it. I'm sure he'll
I'm
play
pretty
through
sure
the
it's been a
pain
hamstring.
at this point because he's not about them losing two in a row. Um,
Yeah, not at this point in the season. The next one I'm looking at here on my list, I've got Cincy going into Carolina.
That's what we've got on the slate. Cincinnati is supposed to win this game smashingly. We
Andy
are,
Dalton revenge game.
yeah, we're recording this before Cincinnati plays on Monday, so there might be some injuries that we don't talk about. But I think that the biggest thing is Andy Dalton and the way he looked this past week was phenomenal. I think that the Panthers are a legitimate option now. I said last week that I liked Chuba Hubbard, and that was the only player that I really saw any value in. At this point, Deontay Johnson has value, Andy
Hmm.
Dalton has value, and Chuba Hubbard has value. Thielen even has a little bit of touchdown dependent value. I wouldn't be going out and trying to get Adam Thielen. He is a little bit questionable right now. I'm pretty sure he came back in the game after he went down on that touchdown catch, but it's still just like not worth it. There's so many better options out there if you're trying to get someone for your wide receiver core.
Yeah, I agree as well. And looking on the Bengals side, T. Higgins, like you said, we're recording this prior to the Monday night game, so T. Higgins is expected to play Monday night. Hopefully, by this recording, he's had 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he's just looking absolutely ripe to come out and torch.
Agreed.
Bengals absolutely should win this game. Now, with it being in Carolina and Andy Dalton, the way they looked this last week, I feel like this is kind of a comeback to earth week for the Panthers.
I think it's going to be a close game, though. I think Andy
Yeah,
Dalton is
I
going to
don't
be
think
able to
it's a
run the
blowout.
offense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is good for both teams. I think that Zach Moss might have some value if they get up a couple scores on them because they're just going to run the ball more often. But we've seen all offseason they talked about how much they want to utilize Joe Burrow's arm, and that's why they got Zach Moss is because he's not a receiving running back. He doesn't need a lot of volume. He just scores touchdowns. And if they get close enough, then he'll score a touchdown for him. So I think that we see Joe Burrow and the boys get back to it. I think Mike Gesicki could have some potential value. We'll know a lot more after we see what he does on Monday night.
Yeah, so like I said, I like the Bengals winning that game. Next game on the slate that I'm looking at here, I've got Jacksonville at Houston.
Yep. And it looks like Houston is heavily favored to win. I think that this is going to be a comeback game for Houston. Cam Akers had a lot of lost value last week because he didn't really get the opportunities because they were down so much. Nico Collins was pretty much non existent until the third or fourth quarter as well. I think that we see a bounce back from him. And then CJ Stroud as well. I think he only missed his passing yards by like 5 or 10 yards by the end of it. He just looked so
Hmm.
bad in the first half because Minnesota just They knew what they were doing. They were stopping them every way possible. We talked about it earlier in this episode. Brian Flores' team has been doing very well from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Jaguars, let's just be honest, like we're recording this ahead of the Monday night game that they're going to play, but they don't look good.
No.
Like they just overall as a team, they just look completely inefficient. So I do in no way do I expect them to beat the Texans. I think you're starting Etienne as a Christian Kirk owner. I've currently benched him because I just haven't seen anything. In another league, I have Brian Thomas Jr. I've also benched him.
If Etienne shows up and does absolutely nothing on Monday night, are you questioning whether or not you put in like a Charbonnet or, even like just some of these backup running backs that are like Cam Akers?
Kenneth Walker's still out. Then yeah, I'm putting in Charbonnet over.
What about
Etienne.
Cam Akers? If you had Cam Akers and Cam Akers, like he didn't do much, but you know he's going to get Jacksonville. They're going to probably be up by 2 or 3 scores by half, and he's going to get a lot of opportunities. Would you play him over Etienne?
Yeah, if Joe Mixon's still out and with Dameon Pierce out,
because Bigsby's there. He's taken some opportunity.
If Etienne puts up another dud here, I think I'm looking at Cam Akers. Like it's just where you drafted him, you're almost forced to start him, but at this point I think you do have better options.
So moving on, Pittsburgh's heading to the Colts.
This game, this is the Anthony Richardson, Justin Fields. Please both give us a rushing touchdown game.
Yep. Justin Fields has, through the first 2 weeks, has 273 yards and 1 passing touchdown. Najee Harris had 37 carries and 139 yards. I think Najee Harris is going to be able to continue to have value. I think that George Pickens is going to continue to lack value as long as Justin Fields is his primary passing option. I think Jonathan Taylor is probably the most valuable player in this whole game. Like, most automatic start that you could possibly have. Everyone else is kind of like, oh, I'm going to look for better options.
Yeah, I mean, and Justin Fields, that stat line is just from this last week, by the way. Just throwing that out there. But so I like what Fields has been showing. Honestly, like looking at it from a fantasy perspective, I think Fields, if I have Fields and Anthony Richardson, I think I'm starting Fields.
Just because we expect so little from Richardson. He's touchdown dependent at this
Fields
point.
has just been a little like more efficient. Like Anthony Richardson, to me, he's just like his last few games. You're looking at 3 interceptions the prior week. You're looking at 2 interceptions this last week. He's not giving you what you want to see on the ground at this point. So, I mean, to me, it's just he's got to have a get right game. And I do not think versus this Pittsburgh defense, he's going to give you one. You're looking at 3 passing touchdowns and 6 interceptions on the year for him.
Yeah, they're projecting Indianapolis to win. I think that Pittsburgh's got this all day. I think Pittsburgh goes 4-0 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the only way that Indianapolis is going to be able to turn around their season is if Anthony Richardson starts working the ball into the end zone in his hands in the red zone. If they keep just handing the ball off and they keep being one-dimensional all the way down the field, like they're just losing out on so many drives. He's also being very inefficient with the ball in his hands. I don't think that they can win games like that. Not against a team like Pittsburgh that's going to be bringing so much pressure on him all game long.
Yep, I agree. You don't feel good about it, and the way I look at it from a game perspective as well is the Bears gave the Colts pretty much all they could handle this last game, and the Colts were able to squeak one out.
Yeah.
I don't think they're able to squeak out another like knockdown, drag out type of game like that, especially versus that Pittsburgh defense. So I've got to lean Pittsburgh on the road for next week as well. And then it's looking like our last game for the 1:00 slate here is the Rams going into Chicago.
I don't understand how they could possibly have Chicago winning this game after we saw what the Rams did in the fourth quarter versus the 49ers. I know that there's this battle between McVay and Shanahan and blah blah blah, but the Rams just looked like a complete unstoppable force whenever they want to
The Rams are just better coached too.
Yes.
Like, I mean, yeah, the Bears put up a good fight this last game, but it's not going to change my outlook on how Eberflus has been as a head coach to this point so far.
And
I'm
offensive
absolutely
line
going to choose McVay.
for
And
the Bears, man. Ugh. It's
well,
so
the
bad.
49ers are, even without Kittle and Debo, like, they're still a very good team. And
Yes.
with all the injuries that the Rams have, just simply to be able to come back and take that game and not only come back but win it, I mean, come on, bro. So for me, I'm with you. I have no idea how the Rams are projected right now at this point to lose this game.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Rams if they're an underdog in this game, 100%. Caleb Williams had a really solid game this last outing. You know, he
Two
still had
touchdowns
the two
finally.
interceptions, but 2 touchdowns there for you, over 350 passing yards, which you love to see out of your rookie quarterback. He's starting to calm down a little bit more. Looks like he's starting to settle into the offense a little bit there for you. So because of that, I think Odunze and DJ Moore both have good fantasy value. DeAndre Swift, I don't know if I feel good about yet right now at this point to really want to be like, yeah, let me just plug and play him. I don't have to worry about it. I think there's better options out there.
The only way DeAndre Swift is someone I want to play is if I think the Bears will be up all game. And their defense is very good, but the Rams offense is just too dynamic with Stafford to be able to just say, oh, the Bears will be able to handle them. Like, even with the limited receiving options, Kyron Williams looks very good. Stafford looks very good. And I don't think that they'll be able to just handle that and do whatever they want with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a close game, especially with it being in Chicago. But I do expect the Rams to win simply because of McVay versus Eberflus.
Agreed.
So, looking at the wide receivers for the Rams, though, do you see any of them with fantasy value for you? Are you liking Demarcus Robinson?
So last week I was saying that Demarcus Robinson was my guy. He didn't have like any targets before the third or fourth quarter, and even then I think he only had like one reception for 32 yards. No, I'm not really confident in any of them. I think that Stafford isn't even really startable. I think Kyron Williams, Caleb are not really Caleb. I think Caleb Williams could be starter in a superflex easily. I still don't know if I would with Stafford though.
Yeah,
Like-
I agree. Tutu Atwell had the most targets with 5. I mean, 4 receptions for 93 yards for him, but
We know
really
that's
nothing.
not enough. He's not going to get that week in, week out. He
Yeah,
never has,
and-
never will.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, like I said, I like the Rams in that game. Guys, if you're here with us still, we absolutely appreciate you and your time. Hit that subscribe button down below. Tell your friends, tell your family. 500 subscribers, we're giving away a free jersey to one of you, and for each 500 subscriber benchmark. At TulsiRoseT.com is the sponsor. At ProFootball_pod on the Twitter machine. We love you guys. Peace out.